The JF Show on Shannonside Northern Sound.
Listen to this. Now listen to this. If you're a parent, turn up the wireless. If you're a student and you're tuned our way today, turn up the wireless. Excessive homework is a pointless exercise. Yep. That is eroding family life. And according to my next guest, the Irish education system is stuck in a vortex, and homework is actually creating bad habits for life in our nation's children. Dr. Naoisé O'Reilly, good morning to you.
Good morning, how are you?
I'm not too bad at all. Thank you for taking the call. First of all, tell me a little bit about yourself, because I take it you're specialising in the whole area of education, are you?
Yes, well, I'm severely dyslexic myself, so I had a pretty hard time in school, but I managed to do very well and go on to college and do very well and obviously end up with a doctorate. So about 3 years ago, a little under 3 years ago, I set up my own tuition centre in Dublin with the idea being of creating a new sort of learning method that meant that everybody could learn really effectively in the class, regardless of whether they were dyslexic or had other learning difficulties or just needed to learn very differently. And basically everybody that comes to us just doesn't get on very well in school for a whole range of problems.
Right, so this initiative is based on your own experiences in school as a child growing up with dyslexia.
Yeah, very much so. And my whole sort of experience through education, I would have been very involved in third level education as well. So very much my sort of thinking on this is that people have sort of said that it's a third level approach to second level education in a nutshell, really. And so what I've kind of seen in the homework club is that the students are so stressed about homework that we can't actually get the space to do the work that we want to do with them, because it's sort of very short-sighted, sort of constant stress where they're worrying about what they need to do for the next day, and this is from very young ages, even from 5 and 6, and we're seeing that people are working very, very hard at home. The parents are having to be hugely involved with their children, trying to help them out to get through the system.
This is the main reason. One of the main reasons why I decided to invite you on the show. I'm a parent myself, obviously, but from chatting to other parents, there's no doubt about it. I sense now that young children, 6, 7, 8, 9-year-olds, who really shouldn't have a care in the world, with respect, the last thing they should have on their mind is their homework. I mean, I can remember when I was 6 and 7, homework, will you go away on that? I'm too busy playing. But I sense now that young children, first and foremost, I must get the homework done. And I wonder, is that a positive thing?
No, I think it's a huge pressure. And then the other side of it too is that a lot of schools have a lot of tests on Fridays. So quite often, and quite a few tests, so they might have an Irish test, they'll have a spelling test, they'll have some sort of maths test. And so very young children are constantly worrying. So one parent said to me that Thursday night in their house is manic because they're really, really worried about Friday morning. And so, these people should be just looking forward to Christmas and to Santa Claus at this stage of the year.
Wow. I mean, that's music to my ears, Naoisé. I can't believe what I'm hearing. You're so right. Young children now, and we're talking about primary school children. All they're worried about is the test on Friday. They should be worried about Santa.
Yeah, and if I ask a 6 or 7-year-old what would you like to do when you grow up, they give me really amazing answers. I'd like to be an astronaut or an explorer or something really exciting. And if I turn around and I ask a 15-year-old, well, what would you like to do? The answer I quite often get is, I don't know, I'm not good at anything. So that seems to me what school is creating at the moment, and this sort of environment and the sort of pressures.
Why are we piling on the pressure, i.e. excessive amounts of homework?
Well, this came up recently in a workshop that I ran for parents in supporting their children with homework, and I kind of asked the question during the workshop: why do we do homework? And the answers I got were a little scary, because you have to, because it gets you on in life. And I'm kind of like, well, how does it do that? And one of the expectations of a very small percentage of parents is that it's somehow a test of what's going on in the classroom, and it's somehow this sort of link. It's seen as a link between school and the parents to know what's going on. And I just feel that that's a very ineffective way of doing that. There's much more creative ways.
Such as?
Well, you can do very simple things in a classroom to find out what information has been taken on board and what hasn't. And my whole kind of argument is that if students are really involved in the class, and you're actually learning in the way that suits you, and essentially we teach in 4 different ways. So it's either visual, auditory, practical, or kinesthetic, and everybody falls into one of those categories. So if you're really involved during the class time and you really understand the information and take it on board, you shouldn't have to go away and learn it off afterwards. And you should automatically do well in things and automatically progress and understand. And then there just needs to be a communication from the school to say how the children are progressing.
Is it also insecurity maybe on the part of the teacher, whereby it's a guarantee for them that nothing will be missed, if you get my drift.
Well, I think there's a little bit of that going on, but in fairness, a lot of teachers have come forward during this debate over the last 2 weeks and said that they don't really want to be setting huge amounts of homework. Like, whatever homework is set has to be corrected. And I always say that there's just as many lost teachers in the system as there is lost students. Yeah. So there doesn't seem to be a clear directive here on what should be happening. And some schools have a homework policy and some don't.
Yeah,
so
but I think and again, based on personal experience, I know of one particular school and one particular teacher whereby, you know, there's almost a schedule put in place in that, here you go, children, you have 5 days to get this amount of homework done. If you do an hour tonight, 2 hours tomorrow night, 30 minutes the next night, I don't really mind, but that's your schedule, and it has to be completed by a particular time, a particular day. And I don't know, as a parent, to me, that makes good sense, in that, you know, there's still the homework to be done, but you can sort of scatter it out over 4 to 5 days.
Yes, the whole point of homework is that you learn how to do tasks, you learn how to complete work for other people, you learn time management and schedules. But then you also have to look at the work that's being set and whether it's just being set to keep doing things by repetition and keep learning something off, or whether it's done in such a way to make you interested in the topic, make you go off and explore it a little bit more, make you experience things, make you try stuff for yourself, make you just generally interested in the topic. And a lot of, particularly in the primary school area, a lot of the work that's being set is just a case of writing out the question and writing out the answer. Like, a lot of grandparents have even rung back into shows that I've been on, sort of saying, I don't see the point of what I'm doing with the children. Yeah. And a lot of grandparents are very involved now because the parents don't have time to do all of this as well.
That's a huge issue. I've been making the point all morning, in that not only is it extra pressure on the youngsters, but parents, in many cases, both are out working. They come home after a very stressful day. They have all the chores to do. And on top of that, son and daughter are having problems with homework. It puts huge strain on the family environment, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. And it also depends. Like, if you have a child who has any sort of a learning difficulty, you will be involved from a much, much earlier age. And then those sort of conditions are hereditary, so the chances are that the parents have difficulties. Like, there's a quarter of the population around that actually has difficulties with literacy. So a lot of the people who come to me are actually not in a position to help their children do this work.
That's right.
So there's an assumption that if you send reading work home to be done at home, that someone is there to do that.
Maths is the big one.
Yes, maths is.
You know, I ask myself the question, I can't do the sum, and if I can't do the sum, I mean, and now, granted, the children are maybe doing the sums that day in the classroom, but I'll be the first to put up my hand and say, some of the sums that I have to contend with at night time, woo!
Yeah, and also, like, we're constantly changing the way that we approach it. So the grandparent might have one way of doing it, and the parent might have another way, and the teacher has another. So sometimes the student is sort of stuck in the middle going, right, I now have 4 different ways to do this question and I don't understand any of them. So a lot of parents say to me, you know, I'm not sure that we're really helping by being involved.
What do you want ultimately at the end of the day? Do you feel that, you know, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, whatever it may be, that's it? You know, the old saying, don't bring your work home with you. Should this really apply when it comes to education in this country?
Yes, I really feel it does. I really feel that we're teaching people very bad habits. You can't expect people to go into the workplace and work effectively and not take their work home and sort of, you know, you have to have space to do all the other things that you're interested in. You have to find out what you're good at. You have to get involved in clubs and societies in the local community. And students are starting to do that less and less. And even when they get to third level, there's a sort of a precedent set now that people are used to swatting so much that they're not getting involved even in college life. And
so
I saw
do you want homework to be banned completely?
I guess I do, in the sense that it is now. Yes, I would like to see it banned completely, especially for primary school students straight off. And in terms of secondary school students, I'd like to see far more effective work being set around actually revising in a way that suits you and being allowed to create very good habits, basically, for life, and so that you're studying effectively and in a way that suits you and working very effectively in school, but learning how to sort of bounce it up and make it a bit more interesting for yourself outside and find the things that you're really good at, because that's what you need to do when you go on later in life.
What kind of a reaction are you getting from your peers on this?
I'm getting an overwhelmingly positive reaction. Like, the parents have been very much in agreement, the students have been in agreement,
Teachers?
A lot of teachers have been in agreement, and in fact we have like a new project that we set up, the Purple Learning Project, which is the actual methods, the learning method that we have developed in the school over the last 3 years, and we have had a lot of interest from a lot of different types of educationists, even adults returning to education and other very specific communities returning to education, being interested in doing our workshop. So the response has been overwhelmingly positive.
I'm just, I've lost my train of thought there, but I'm convinced, that there's a link between study and obesity. Now, I know people will say he's once again making explosive comments on the show, but I'm convinced in that, if children could come home in the evening, throw the bag in the corner and get out and play and have fun and play sports and what have you, and if they didn't have homework to worry about, I don't think obesity would be as big a problem as it is at the moment. Would you concur with that?
Yes, a lot of parents have raised the debate that their kids don't have time to go out and play, and they don't have time to do other activities, and I see a lack of interest in life in general from this, and in sports and societies and clubs and the local community and whole other areas. Like, I just see a total lack of interest and total lack of time to be involved in things. So yes, no, it's a very valid point. Like, people spend an awful lot of time sitting down at
They
desk.
do, yeah. Just finally, call in here. I feel homework is not a waste of time because it reinforces what the child has learned during the day. I also don't think that parents should help. If a child doesn't understand a sum or some English homework they've been giving during the day, then they should go into school the next day and ask their teacher. I think that would be chaotic, caller. Anyway, as a parent, I don't feel it's my job to do homework with my child. It's up to the teacher to do it. They're the ones that get paid after all.
Well, I think really it's about learning effectively and understanding the information and taking it on board properly in the classroom, so you're not having to go away and just learn it off. That's the big difference that I see.
All right. Dr. O'Reilly, thank you so much for taking our call this morning. Food for thought there. We'd like to get your views on it. You heard the doctor state quite clearly that in her view, homework should be banned forevermore. What are the chances of that happening? Oh, very slim. Maybe. We'll take a break.